What happens when the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows? When a rising football star, hailed as the next great tight end of the NFL, finds himself not in the end zone but behind bars. And when the world finally uncovers the chilling truth, is it too late to ask, was Aaron Hernandez born to dominate or destined to self-destruct? This is the haunting story of a man who had it all, fame, fortune, and future, and lost it to a darkness far deeper than the game ever prepared him for. Before we dive into this story of touchdowns and tragedy, make sure to subscribe to this channel. If you believe every legend hides a deeper truth and every fall has a lesson to teach, then hit that button and turn on the bell. You won't want to miss the stories that reveal what really happens when the stadium lights go out. Early life. Aaron Joseph Hernandez was born on November 6, 1989, in Bristol, Connecticut, into a family with a proud Puerto Rican heritage and a complicated dynamic. His father, Dennis Hernandez, was a respected but strict figure in the community, known as both a disciplinarian and a local sports hero. Aaron idolized him, but behind the image of a strong family man was a volatile household shaped by emotional abuse, violence, and deeply buried secrets. At just 16 years old, Aaron's world shattered. His father died unexpectedly during a routine hernia surgery. That loss unraveled him. The trauma sent him spiraling, and those close to him say he changed overnight, from a focused, disciplined teenager to an unpredictable young man who began to drift toward darker influences. He started hanging out with older, more dangerous friends and began showing signs of deep psychological strain. But even through the emotional chaos, one thing never changed. Aaron Hernandez could play football like he was born to do it. On the field, he was a machine, faster, bigger, and smarter than nearly anyone his age. By the time he was at Bristol Central High School, he was already dominating, breaking state records, and catching the attention of college scouts nationwide. College dominance. Aaron committed to the University of Florida, one of the country's top football programs, under the leadership of coach Urban Meyer. He arrived young, only 17 years old, and too emotionally raw to handle the pressure of the spotlight. But the coaching staff made an exception. His talent was simply too extraordinary to ignore. At Florida, Aaron flourished on the field. He was Tim Tebow's go-to weapon, a matchup nightmare who could line up at tight end, in the slot, or out wide. He was faster than linebackers and stronger than safeties, making him virtually unstoppable in short yardage and red zone situations. In his junior year, he caught 68 passes for 850 yards and 5 touchdowns, winning the prestigious John Mackey Award as the nation's best tight end. He helped the Gators capture a national championship and was celebrated as a future NFL star. But behind the success, trouble was brewing. During his time in Gainesville, Aaron was involved in multiple off-field incidents, bar fights, failed drug tests, and associations with known criminals. Many of these incidents were quietly swept under the rug. The university, focused on wins and headlines, protected their star asset, enabling a pattern of behavior that would later prove catastrophic. There were warning signs, bright red ones, but they were ignored in the name of victory. NFL rise. In the 2010 NFL Draft, Aaron Hernandez slipped to the 4th round. Teams were hesitant, not because of his talent, but because of his baggage. But the New England Patriots, led by coach Bill Belichick and quarterback Tom Brady, decided to take a chance. They believed the Patriots' disciplined, no-nonsense culture could straighten him out. They weren't entirely wrong, at least not at first. On the field, Hernandez was electric. Alongside Rob Gronkowski, he became part of one of the most dangerous tight end duos in NFL history. In his second season, he racked up 910 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. He helped the Patriots reach the Super Bowl and became a fan favorite for his athleticism and charisma. Off the field, however, Aaron was living a double life. He continued to surround himself with people from his past, men with criminal records, access to weapons, and involvement in gang activity. He was paranoid, installing multiple surveillance cameras around his home and carrying guns with him regularly. He smoked marijuana heavily, used prescription drugs, and reportedly became increasingly erratic and aggressive. The murder of Odin Lloyd. On June 17, 2013, the body of Odin Lloyd, a semi-pro football player and boyfriend of Hernandez's fiancee's sister, was discovered in an industrial park in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. He had been shot 6 times, execution style. Surveillance footage, text messages, and tire tracks quickly tied Hernandez to the crime. The police found that Aaron had picked Lloyd up in a rented Nissan Altima along with 2 of his associates, Carlos Ortiz and Ernest Wallace. Hours later, Lloyd was dead. The evidence painted a chilling picture. This wasn't a heat-of-the-moment act. It was a calculated execution. Aaron Hernandez was arrested just 9 days later. The Patriots released him within 2 hours of his arrest, cutting ties with a man who had gone from NFL royalty to national disgrace almost overnight. The trial that followed was filled with damning evidence. Surveillance footage from Hernandez's own home showing him with a gun, DNA evidence tying him to the crime scene, and testimony that revealed a terrifying portrait of a man living a double life. In April 2015, Hernandez was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The hidden double life. While serving his life sentence, more disturbing details emerged. Aaron had long battled inner demons, some rooted in childhood trauma, others linked to his secretive personal life. Reports began to circulate that Hernandez had been struggling with his sexuality and feared public exposure. Some speculated that this internal conflict may have contributed to his increasingly erratic behavior. Then came the medical bombshell. After his death, Hernandez's brain was examined by neuropathologists who diagnosed him with Stage 3 chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, the most advanced case ever seen in someone his age. CTE is a degenerative brain disease found in individuals with a history of repeated head trauma. Symptoms include depression, paranoia, impaired judgment, and aggression. Death behind bars. On April 19, 2017, just days after being acquitted in a separate double murder case, Aaron Hernandez was found dead in his prison cell. He had used a bedsheet to hang himself. Next to him was an open Bible and 3 handwritten notes, one to his daughter, one to his fiancée, and one to a fellow inmate. He was just 27 years old. His death stunned the world. Even after the conviction, few expected his story to end this way. In many ways, it felt like a second tragedy layered over the first. Alden Lloyd's life had been taken, Hernandez had been wasted, and both families were left with scars that would never fully heal. Reflection. The story of Aaron Hernandez is not just about football. It's about mental illness, unhealed trauma, societal negligence, and the price of ignoring red flags in the name of entertainment and profit. It's about the pressure cooker of masculinity, fame, and silence. It's about how a man who could catch anything on the field couldn't escape the grip of what haunted him off it. And it's about a league and a world that is still grappling with the consequences of that silence. Aaron Hernandez's life was a perfect storm, talent, trauma, and tragedy all colliding under the brightest lights. His fall wasn't just shocking, it was seismic. If you were moved by this story, if you believe we need to have deeper conversations around mental health, CTE, and the pressures placed on young athletes, then don't just scroll on. Subscribe so you don't miss the stories that dig deeper than stats and scores. Tap the bell and share this video to remind the world that behind every jersey is a human being, and sometimes the biggest battles are the ones no one ever sees.